Kia recently revealed their updated 2025 EV6 all-electric small crossover, and it's going to be going on sale in Korea next month, and it'll be hitting other markets around the world later this year. So if you want to find out all the changes that Kia made for the 2025 mid-cycle refresh, then stay tuned. Hey everybody, it's the Ioniq guy. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. My name is Corbin. I cover all things Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis EV related. So a couple weeks ago, Kia took the wraps off of this mid-cycle refresh, and we were expecting this. There's been spy photos coming out, and the 2025 Ioniq 5 was also revealed a couple of months ago, and that kind of just led up to some of the changes that are happening here with the EV6. Let's start out by talking about what's changed to the powertrain and to the interior. So the biggest and probably most important change for the EV6 is going to be an updated battery pack. So it's going from a 77.4 to an 84 kilowatt hour battery. And this is going to enable another 15 to 20 miles of range, depending on whether you have all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive. As it stands today with the 2024 model year, the all-wheel drive spec has a 282-mile EPA-rated range and a 310-mile rated range on the rear-wheel drive spec. So you're going to be closing in on 300 miles with the all-wheel drive and approaching the mid-300s with the rear-wheel drive. So these are very respectable range figures. This car is a little bit more aerodynamic versus, say, my Ioniq 5, but it isn't nearly as aerodynamic as my Ioniq 6. So either way, always good to see a little bit more range. And they were able to do this without actually increasing the size of the battery pack. And I'm talking physically. So the volume of the battery pack remains the same. What they did was change the chemistry, and that has enabled them to store more energy in the same given space. And don't worry, your charging time isn't going to change. You'll still be able to do 10 to 80% in as little as 18 minutes in ideal conditions, and that's mostly related to the battery temperature. And one of the other big changes here with the new EV6 is going to be a refreshed infotainment system. One of the nicest changes with this system, though, that's not really related much to infotainment, is there's a button that allows you to manually turn on battery conditioning. So as it stands today with existing EV6, you do have to plan a route in the onboard navigation system, let it tell you where to stop the charge, and then it will automatically enable battery conditioning, allowing the car to warm it up before it reaches a DC fast charger, enabling those super high charging rates. Knowing that this button is here now, if you're just looking to charge locally and you want to prepare for that, you don't have to go and plan a trip. You can just go in there, press the button, turn it on, it'll warm the battery pack up to roughly low 70 degree, 75 degree range, and that's what the car really wants to be at in order to enable up to 240 kilowatts of charging speed. Now, what else comes with this updated infotainment system? Well, it's going to be faster, snappier, sharper. It's just all around a nicer looking system, updated graphics, updated user interface. I've played with it in the recently released Kia EV9. I had that for a week, and I do really like the system. I think it looks really sharp. It's just more modern. This software system also enables full over-the-air software updates, just like the Kia EV9, where you can get powertrain updates, electronics updates. Everything in the car is updatable through this new system, so that will save you a bunch of time not having to go to the dealership for these little things. You've got Remote Smart Park Assist 2, so it's an updated version of the outgoing system, which I sure hope it's quicker, because that is my biggest problem with the existing system, is any driver with any amount of skill can park probably at least 5 to 10 times quicker than this system can. So I think it's a cool kind of party trick, but using it in real life, unless you're just trying to squeeze it into a narrow garage so you don't have to try and get out without slamming your doors against the wall, I just find it pretty much useless. But if you need it for just that, it could be worth it. The air conditioning system's getting a photocatalyst sterilization system that I guess should probably clean the air a little bit better based on that fancy word. So that's always good. I like clean air. Now, some of these specs here might just be in the Korean market. So they're talking about the digital center mirror, the digital rear view mirror. If it does come to the US, it's likely going to be on the top GT line trim, and it might be on an option package in the wind trim, but we do not know yet. Also, they mentioned built-in Cam 2, which is basically their surround view dash cam system. No Hyundai or Kia or Genesis has come to the US with this feature. They seem to really only be leaving it for their Korean spec models. I really hope they bring this feature though to future cars because it's such a nice thing to have. Same thing with an electrically operated steering column, allowing you to adjust it with a little switch instead of having to unlock it and then pulling it forward and backward. If that does come here, it'll likely be on the top trim. And they're saying Lane Keeping Assist 2 is coming as well, so should keep you in your lane a little bit better than the existing system. Now, on the topic of highway drive assist, as it stands today, to use this system on the highway, you need to input small amounts of torque into the steering wheel to let the car know that you're still there, you're still paying attention. Now with this new system, it is going to be capacitive based. So as long as your skin is in contact with that steering wheel, it'll know you're there, it'll know that you're hopefully paying attention and that the system can stay activated. So no more having to jiggle the steering wheel back and forth to let the car know that you are actually behind the wheel. And the car does have a completely redesigned steering wheel. I don't really like it. I don't like the off-center Kia logo. I think it looks funny. I also don't like the dual-tone steering wheel. I think it's kind of tacky looking. I do like that it's a two-spoke design. I do like that it is kind of squarish on the top and the bottom. I think that's a cool look, but just the big center section, I just don't really like the look of it. Now, this is going to be on the lower trims. The GT line does get a specific steering wheel for it that looks more similar to that of the Ioniq 5N, which recently came out. I think it's a much better looking steering wheel versus that of the lower trim. In the center console, you do get a fingerprint scanner now, so you can select your user profile or start the car with just the touch of your finger. They do mention that they are adding more sound deadening to the rear motor, which is very welcome because even in my Ioniq 5, when you get up to highway speeds, occasionally there is a motor whine that it's just such a high frequency that it comes through and it can just drive you crazy. So nice to see that they're adding a little bit more. They say the wireless charging pad has been updated so that your phone won't slip around as much, so they must be using a new type of rubber there. The car is also gonna have digital key too, so you should be able to use an Apple Watch or an iPhone to unlock and lock the vehicle. They say there's going to be new ambient lighting on the interior. I don't really know what that means though, because the EV6 already had pretty decent ambient lighting. They say that the B pillars of the car are now stronger, which should help with rollover protection. So now that we've talked about all that, let's talk about the exterior, which I know has been a point of contention with this mid-cycle refresh. So we'll start with the rear. The rear doesn't really look a whole lot different than the existing EV6. So here we're looking at one of the lower spec versions. This is not the GT line. You can see that the only part that's really changed drastically is going to be that lower bumper. It's now a kind of inlay, a gloss black inlay. The silver in this photo goes around and wraps around the bottom of that gloss black section. So that's a little bit different. I can take it or leave it. I don't really find this any more or less offensive than the existing design. And besides that, the only other real change I can see here is that right above the Kia logo, it looks like that brake light might be a little bit thicker there, but besides that, it looks more or less the same to my eyes. And then looking at the 2025 GT line back end, I think it looks even more similar to the existing EV6 than the lower trim. So I don't really find an issue with it. But where things really kind of devolve is with the front end. So here, looking at the front end of the GT line, the first thing you're going to notice is the new star map lights, or whatever they're calling them. Very angular, and the reason they're doing it is because the recently revealed EV3 has them, the EV5 and the EV9 all have very angular headlights, so they want it to look like it's another Kia just like all of them. I think it's more successful with the EV3, EV5, and EV9 because those cars were built from the ground up with very angular body lines, very straight lines. And here on the more or less jelly bean shaped EV6 with all of its rounded edges and curves, it just kind of looks out of place to me. This car is not an angular car like the Ioniq 5 is or any of those other Kias. I just don't think it really works here. On the GT line, you're going to see in the center section there's an LED light that connects one headlight module to the other headlight module. So at night, I feel like it's going to look like an angry car with a big electric mustache driving towards you from behind. I'm not sure how that'll look, but I think it'll look interesting at least. It'll definitely stand out. Whether that's a good thing or not, I will have to just hold judgment for. But yeah, it's not for me. I think the existing headlights on the EV6 look much better. Anyway, looking at the lower trim versions, you're going to see that they're kind of emulating the rear bumper and the front bumper with that gloss black inlay. I think it's a little bit more successful here, and the reason I say that is because you do have that traditional Kia Tiger Nose grille here. There's no LED light bar connecting both headlights together, and I think the fact that it's just broken up a little bit more, there's less LED lighting going on, I just think it looks a little bit better. It doesn't look as busy in my opinion, but still, I prefer the existing EV6 as it is today. So you guys got to let me know down in the comments section. What do you think of the new front and rear ends of the EV6? Do you like it? Do you think it's a huge fail? I want to know. The side profile looks more or less the same. They might have tweaked a few things there, but nothing is super obvious. And then, of course, with the mid-cycle refresh, you're going to get new wheels. These wheels here, there's a big square theme going on, and I think that kind of works with more boxy vehicles like the EV9 and the EV3, but here on the more rounded EV9, I don't think it's a successful look in my opinion. It wouldn't be my first choice for a wheel on the car. Looking at the GT line, it's even more kind of crazy and busy looking. They do kind of remind me a little bit of the new Ioniq 5N wheels. Yeah, I think I like these ones a little bit more than on the lower trim versions, but neither would be my top choice. So I think that about does that. That's pretty much all the major changes coming to the EV6 for the 2025 model year. So let me know down below if you own an EV6. Are you interested in this redesign? Are you going to trade in for it? Do you like your version better? Let me know. I want to hear. If you do own an EV6, you might notice I'm wearing a shirt here that has the charging light indicator on it. I designed this myself. It's available at the link in the description to purchase if you want it on a hat or a t-shirt or a mug or whatever. And of course, if you already own an EV6, you know that the doors don't lock themselves when you walk away from it. With my automatic door locking module, it's as simple as popping off that back panel in your trunk, plugging it into the trailer light wiring harness, and boom, you have automatic locking doors. You can install it in under 5 minutes. And if you're interested in learning more about that, you can check that out in the link in the description or my website, ioniqguy.com. And as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.